But that's like if you ever see anybody smoking at a gas station. I'll never understand that. Smoking a cigarette while pumping gas.
Yeah.
That's natural selection to me. So
It can be. Looks like we pretty much got a quorum and it's only a 5:59. Perfect. Counting it, I think, I can see almost everybody. Who am I missing?
One of my favorite books when I was teaching to fill time at the end of the class period, I had a book called, Darwin's. It was all about people who shouldn't have survived, who should not have evolved according to Darwin. And it was people who killed themselves or died accidentally doing stupid things like putting grocery bags full of gasoline in their garbage or in their trunk.
sure.
But it was amazing. You'd read these stories out loud and my kids in high school would be like, no, they didn't really do that. They didn't tell me, no, this is made up, right?
Well, it's like when you see the warnings on containers, it's there because somebody was dumb enough to do it.
Right.
You know,
And sue and die with it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a highly paid attorney who figures out that somebody may do it and gets paid to tell you to put it on in the warning.
That's true.
Right.
Cover liability.
Right.
Some would say there's not a lot of difference between that high paid attorney and the one who would do it. So you draw your own conclusions.
I wouldn't think so. One's getting paid, one's getting hurt.
Okay, we got 6 o'clock and it looks like we have everybody here with the exception of Councilman Clare. We're going to call this meeting to order. There's no pledge of allegiance on the agenda, so we'll go immediately to Tricia Kramer and ask her to tell us what she has to say about these appropriations.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for taking the time tonight to meet and discuss the funding requests that were received from this year's appropriations applicants. This year, there are 11 applicants. All are prior applicants that most of you are very familiar with. And there is a total of $17,500 available for distribution to the selected applicants. The applicants were invited to attend, but will only be listening unless a council member has a question or needs clarification from them. Then they will be available. If an organization does not have a representative in attendance, there are 1 or 2 that had conflicts. I'd be happy to follow up with them tomorrow to obtain any answers, so you can make an informed decision about their request. The city clerk previously sent everyone a council recommendations worksheet with this year's requests, as well as a 5-year history of past appropriations, so you guys have a quick reference to that if needed. We just ask that you please fill in your recommended dollar amounts for each organization and turn in your worksheets to Terry by Friday at the latest. Terry's asking for them. And then she and I will work with Matthew to tally and incorporate the results into the materials that you receive for next week's regular meeting. With that, I can share with you the applicant names, and I would assume that the mayor would like to go through those in alphabetical order and allow the council to discuss anything that they may need to discuss. And I'm happy to answer any questions along with the applicants that are in attendance if needed. The 11 applicants are Agua Fria Food and Clothing Bank, Blue Star Moms of the Southwest Valley, Catitude Arts, City of Avondale Senior Center, Homeless Youth Connection, Litchfield Elementary School PTSA, Litchfield Park Historical Society, Litchfield Park Little League, Meals of Joy, New Life Center, and the Southwest Lending Closet. And again, there's $17,500 available for fiscal year 21 to appropriate to any of those organizations in a total amount of $17,500.
Let me add just a couple of logistics or procedural things to what you have brought up with council so far. For any new council members such as Councilman Clare or maybe any other councilman who may not recall the way this process works. Every council person will put in an amount for everyone who has asked for funds. So long as at least 4 council members elect to give funds to an organization, then something will be given to that organization, since that is a majority of the council. The city manager will take the input from every council member and come up with a judgment on what is a consensus number to that organization. And by consensus, in many cases, that will be a rough numeric average of everyone's individual allocation. In some cases, if we have an odd input from somebody, we have had occasion, several years ago, where a council member put an unusually large amount in for one organization and then basically zero for other organizations. And it was done with the obvious intent of skewing the average for that particular entity. If it's an unusually large amount, then it will be probably ignored in what is brought back to the council as the consensus of what appears to be the council's desires. When these numbers come back at our regularly scheduled meeting, it will come back with the opportunity for the council to adjust the numbers or amend the judgment that is made by the city manager. And we will talk about each of the numbers to the extent there's any questions about it. And if there's a majority of the council that wants to adjust a number, then we can adjust it at that meeting prior to the award of these particular allocations. Again, the concept is to try to come up with the best judgment of what is a consensus of the council as a whole, and what is supported, what number would be supported by a majority of the council if there was a vote taken on that individual number. So it's an art, not a particularly precise science in every case, but it has worked well for the last decade or more. And so we will follow that again this year, and we'll see how it works after we get everybody's individual input on the individual amounts to every one of these organizations. It may be a little bit easier this year because all the organizations, I think, are probably known to everyone on the council. I would be surprised if there were any of these entities that every council member didn't have some experience with. But we will follow the same procedure that we've followed in past years, where we will consider each individual entity and see if anyone on the council has any questions or comments about that entity. And then we'll go through each entity that has applied for funding. So are there any questions from anyone on the council of how we're going to go about doing this, or how the process itself is going to work once you submit your numbers to the city clerk? Councilman Rostosi.
Just curious, could we just get a quick reminder, Terry, on how you want us to fill out the form? Do you want us to fill out the form under our own names? Do you want us to put it under recommended? Or do you want to put our recommendations?
You'll list your recommendations under your name in the column on the disbursement sheet that I sent you on the 4th. Thank you.
Each individual council member's input on each individual organization is a public record. So it will be tied to each person's name, and then to the council as a whole once it all comes back to the council at the next meeting. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Joe, there's a recent court case on distribution of governmental funds, and we're getting training next week. Does that apply? Or if you looked at the applicants to see if that case applies to any of these applicants?
Are you talking the Peoria case?
Yes.
No, I don't think that case really has much holding here. That was more of economic incentives to try to incentivize businesses to come into town. These are more of assistance to, local, whether they're nonprofits or community-based entities. And many municipalities provide these types of grants or programs to various entities in the municipalities.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, we'll get started and go through this, through each of the organizations and see if there are questions or comments about any of the organizations. So first one on my list is the Agua Fria Food and Clothing Bank. Does any council member have any questions or comments about this applicant? Okay, I don't see any. Next applicant is Blue Star Moms of the Southwest Valley. Any councilman have a question or comment about that applicant? Okay, again, I don't see any. Next applicant is Catitude Arts. Any questions or comments about Catitude? Councilman Donahue.
Do they actually have a gallery? Do they have a physical space? I think they do.
I don't know that. Do we have a representative from Catitude here?
Sandra Reagan is on.
Oh, there she is. Sandra, do you know, I assume you know the answer to that question of whether or not Catitude has a gallery?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. No, there is no physical gallery. We were located in Avondale for 4 years, and we now have pop-up galleries within the Southwest Valley. But we do conduct our programming through the city of Goodyear and on different locations. The particular program that we're writing to, the Creative Aging Program, is it's a mobile program. It goes into facilities such as La Loma and other care facilities. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. Just wondered.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments about Catitude? Okay, next item or next entity is the City of Avondale Senior Center. Any questions or comments about the Senior Center? Councilman Brenner Watson. You have to unmute yourself.
There we go.
There you go.
This is one that provides meals to, no, I think I missed that one.
No,
Right?
We have senior citizens living in Litchfield Park, and we do not have a very active senior citizen program to help support any needs that they may have. So we're fortunate enough that the City of Avondale is able, through their senior center, to supply various things that some of our seniors need, and one of those things is meals. We have several residents, and they spend, and this is always a pitch that I give to the council. I think the council is one of our highest responsibilities is to provide funding to this particular thing, because it is literally feeding individuals in our city that that we have a responsibility to kind of watch out for. So
I agree. I just had a quick question. Is there someone? There's someone from the audience here today?
I can see somebody. Yes, is it Aaron? Yeah, if you can unmute Aaron.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, Aaron. I'm just wondering, I know COVID really affected you guys and a lot of agencies, and I'm wondering, how did you guys handle delivering meals and checking on our seniors with COVID? I'm sure that had to have been a challenge. Can you just give us some ideas of how you dealt with that?
Yeah, so last March, we had to kind of close our doors and transition. So anyone that we would have normally driven to our center to receive meals, we offered meals transported to them. So they got added to our home delivered meal routes, as well as a lot of new authorizations that the Area Agency on Aging sent us. So we've doubled our meal count since then. So we service about 150 home delivered meal clients now, compared to what was 80. And then we also do meals to go at the center, trying to do it virtual programming. So we do some over the phone things. We've done some Zoom programming, and we've just transitioned our full-time staff to offer those programs, to offer St. Mary's programs at our facility, rather than using volunteers, because we just didn't want our vulnerable population at the senior center to be exposed to any viruses. So we've just transitioned, and kind of just our full-time staff are out delivering meals, and our cooks are preparing almost double the meals in the kitchen to get delivered. So yeah, we've seen a lot of increase. Area agency has been given us extra $37,000 in food costs because of this drastic increase in food. So we've almost prepared 30,000 meals this year. So we're seeing a lot of changes. We just opened up the building today to some in-person programming. So we're just starting to do that. The city we've moved into a new facility on Dysart and MC85. So we moved into that facility, and we're now housed in with the resource center. So we're seeing a lot of new clientele. We've seen a couple new Litchfield Park people as well. And so we opened up today to do some exercise programming in the building. So we're just starting to transition to open up for in-person programming right now.
And were you able to take advantage of any of the funding made available from the federal government for COVID relief?
I know that we've gotten some money trickled down from area agency to help fund our programs. And I know the city has also had some funding, but I'm not sure exactly how much went right into the senior programming. I could certainly look into that if that's something you're interested in, though.
I just was curious. I was just curious. I would like to see money like going to groups like yours, who I know had to have been besieged with people needing support during those times. So
Yeah,
it was a question during that time.
Yeah, we've overextended our food budget, especially since some of the food costs have gone up with COVID and a lot more packaging and that kind of thing. So area agency has been generous in giving us that extra funding that they received from federal government. So we have a whole list of clients that are totally pandemic clients. So pretty much anyone that calls area agency right now just says that they need meals, and they're not doing authorization. They're just letting them get those meals. So they don't want to turn anyone away right now that might need meals. So they're not doing any kind of background check or pre-authorization. So they've just all of the senior centers around the whole state have seen a drastic increase in home delivered meals, just because the focus is really to have those people stay home and safe.
Thank you for your answers.
Mhm.
Okay, any other questions or comments about the Avondale Senior Center? All right, thank you, Erin.
Thank you.
We'll go on to the next organization, which is the Homeless Youth Connection. Are there any questions or comments about this applicant?
I had another one.
Okay.
Is someone there today?
Do we have a representative from the Homeless Youth Connection on the Zoom meeting, in the Zoom meeting?
Actually, we don't today. Dawn Bogart, their executive director, is making her way back from Flagstaff, so she was unable to participate.
Okay, that's okay. It's a question I can ask her later. It's not really all that important. Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments from other council members? All right, we'll go on to the Litchfield Elementary School PTSA. Any questions or comments from the council on this applicant? Okay, I don't see any. And then next applicant is Litchfield Park Historical Society. Councilman Watson, do you have questions about that or not? No?
No, I'm pretty good on them. Thank you.
All right. Next applicant is the Litchfield Park Little League. Is there a representative from the Little League here? Do you know, Tricia?
Michael Butterfield, I was told he would be on the call, but I do not see him at the moment.
Okay. You might get a message back to the Litchfield Little League Park, Litchfield Park Little League. We obviously are already providing significant benefits to the Little League through the Jackie Robinson Field and all of the costs that we incur for the upkeep and maintenance of that field and the building of the field. They need to start getting us financial information. So the fact that they gave us nothing this year other than a treasurer's report from last year is really not in keeping with what we need to have in our files.
Mayor and Council, I apologize. They did, after the fact, submit their 2020 report. I thought that had made its way into the updated information, but it appears that it did not. I
did not see it. If you would send it out to everyone, I'd appreciate it.
I will certainly do that. They
All
did
right, thank
submit
you.
it. It wasn't timely, but it was submitted.
Okay, Councilman Brandon Watson.
I didn't see also, I saw that they wanted to spend money on these new light bulbs and improving the field conditions, but I didn't really see a budgeted breakdown of how they're going to spend that money. And the bulbs look like they were $600 each, and they're asking for $5,000. That's a lot of light bulbs. I'm just wondering how they're planning on spending that money. So if they had a budget or how they're planning on proposing how to use that money, that would be nice to know too.
I will pass both of those along and try and share what I find out from them tomorrow with you all.
Okay, sounds good. Any other questions or comments from council? Okay, I don't see any. We'll go on to the Meals of Joy. Any questions about what's going on with Meals of Joy? Any comments? Okay, again, I don't see any, so we'll go on to the New Life Center. Questions or comments about New Life Center? And then finally, Southwest Lending Closet. Okay, I don't see any questions or comments about those organizations, which means that, you know, we're all very familiar with them, and we know what the various services and benefits that each of those organizations provide to both the residents of Litchfield Park and also the Southwest Valley in general. Is there any general comment about the process or anything else that the council would like to talk about before we adjourn this meeting? And you can tally your votes. We'll get the information, if we can, from the Little League tomorrow, so that you might want to hold off long enough for us to get that information. But in any event, is there any questions or comments about anything about this appropriations process? Very broad. It's a broad request for comments. So, okay, I don't see any. So is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilman Clare, seconded by Councilman Romack. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you for taking time out of your busy Wednesday evenings. It's an important process that we go through every year to support these local charitable organizations in our community. So thank you, and we'll get this completed at our next regular meeting when it'll be on the agenda for action.
Thank you, everyone. Good
Good
night.
night, everybody.
Bye.